Byte of truth. The test that broke AI, open models, closed minds, and humanity's last exam.
Imagine walking into an exam hall. You sit down, you open the booklet, and you realize you can't answer a single question, not because you didn't study, but because the test was designed to find the exact limits of what you don't know. Now imagine that you are the smartest AI on the planet, and you just scored a 2.7%. Welcome back to Byte of Truth. I'm Sebastian. Today, we're talking about a test that broke the AI hype machine. We'll dive into humanity's last exam, a benchmark so hard it's making GPT-4o look like a freshman and over his head. But that's just the start. We've got a $26 billion bet from Nvidia. We have a Chinese AI agent that's part sensation, part frustration. And we have a very uncomfortable conversation about why the same technology saving lives in floods is also planning military operations. It's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it.
The Great AI Benchmark Crisis.
Let's start with that exam. If you follow AI news, you've seen the headlines. AI beats the SATs. AI gets into Harvard. It feels like every other week there's a new milestone. And honestly, it's getting a little exhausting. So, when nearly 1,000 researchers got together to build something called humanity's last exam, I perked up. Here's the premise. They created a 2,500 question gauntlet. But here's the twist. They actively removed any question current AI could solve. They stripped away the easy wins. No multiple choice trivia. No pattern matching games. Just expert level problems designed to expose the gap between mimicking intelligence and actually having it. The results? Even the best models, Claude Opus 4.6, Gemini 3.1 Pro, they scored somewhere between 40 and 50%. And OpenAI's GPT-4o, 2.7%. Now, let's be clear. 2.7% isn't just a bad grade, it's a reality check. For months, we've been told these models are approaching human-level reasoning. But this test reveals something uncomfortable. When you take away the questions they've memorized, when you force them to think rather than pattern match, they crumble. So, what does 40% actually mean? Is it a foothill on the path to AGI, or is it just better guessing? Here's what keeps me up at night. Researchers kept most of the questions private. They had to. If they published the full test, AI companies would just train their next models on it. They'd memorize the answers. They'd game the system again. We are caught in this strange arms race. The models get better. The tests get harder. And somewhere in between, we have to ask, are we building intelligent systems, or are we just building incredibly expensive parrots? I want you to think about that next time you see a headline about AI solving something. Ask yourself, did it solve it, or did it just recognize the pattern?
The open source geopolitical chess match.
Now, let's shift gears. Because while researchers are trying to measure intelligence, corporations are fighting a different war. If you missed it, Nvidia just dropped a $26 billion bombshell. They're investing massively in open-weight models. Wait, isn't Nvidia the company selling the shovels, the hardware everyone needs? Exactly. And now they're building the minds, too. Their new model, Nemotron 3 Super 128 billion parameters, is aimed directly at competitors like OpenAI and Anthropic. But here's the really interesting part. They're also competing with Chinese players like DeepSeek and Qwen. Because here's the thing about open source AI. It's not just a technical choice, it's a geopolitical one. Look at what's happening in China right now. There's an AI agent called OpenClaw. It's viral. We're talking regular people, non-technical users, renting cloud servers, buying subscriptions, just to try it. Tencent, Alibaba, ByteDance, they're all making serious money on token consumption. But when I dig into the user reports, it's a mixed bag. Some people are amazed, others frustrated, out $30 with nothing to show for it. It raises an uncomfortable question. Is this actual democratization? Or are we just seeing a hype bubble where the only people making money are the infrastructure providers? Meanwhile, Meta is building custom silicon, 4 new MTIA chips for training and inference, a social media company becoming a chip maker. Why? Because everyone's trying to escape Nvidia's pricing stranglehold. So, let me paint the picture. You've got Nvidia expanding from hardware into models. You've got Chinese companies winning global developer mindshare with open source releases. And you've got American tech giants racing to build their own chips. This isn't just competition. It's a fundamental restructuring of AI power dynamics. And here's the uncomfortable question I keep coming back to. If Chinese open source models become the global standard, and American frontier models stay locked behind APIs, who actually wins the AI race? Think about it. Open models can run anywhere. Closed models? You're renting access. You're at the mercy of pricing, rate limits, and policy changes. For North American and European listeners, this might be the most important story of the year, because the geopolitics of AI aren't just about who has the smartest model. They're about who controls the infrastructure everyone else depends on.
Enterprise AI, the real business case.
All right, let's talk business. I know. Enterprise software doesn't have the same sex appeal as AI passes the bar exam. But stay with me, because this is where the rubber actually meets the revenue road. There's a company called Rox AI. They just hit a $1.2 billion valuation. And their pitch is incredibly simple. They deploy hundreds of AI agents to monitor accounts, research prospects, and update your CRM. Every sales team I know is drowning in tools. You've got CRMs nobody updates, Slack channels nobody reads, dashboards nobody checks. It's an administrative zombie apocalypse. Rox's bet? That AI agents can finally kill the bloat. They're already working with RAMP, MongoDB, New Relic, projected 8 million ARR for 2025. But here's what interests me more. There's a company called Kutu, founded by Peter Sarlin, the guy who sold Silo AI to AMD for $665 million. He's back, building infrastructure for the quantum era. And he's saying something provocative. We're building for the quantum world, but Kutu is an AI company. It's smart positioning. Enterprises can't wait for quantum computing to mature. They need AI solutions now that are quantum-inspired, that prepare them for what's coming. And then there's Wiz, $32 billion acquisition by Google, largest venture-backed acquisition in history. Why? Because they sit at the center of 3 tailwinds: AI, cloud, and security spend. See the pattern? AI native tools replacing legacy bloat, security companies commanding multi-billion premiums. Infrastructure plays that bridge today's needs with tomorrow's capabilities. This isn't just incremental improvement. It's a fundamental reimagining of business processes. And if you're working in enterprise tech, this is the wave you need to be watching.
AI for good, AI for war.
Okay, I need to shift the tone here, because this is where the conversation gets uncomfortable. And it should. We love talking about AI breakthroughs. We love the benchmarks, the valuations, the hype. But we don't talk enough about what happens when this technology leaves the lab. Let me tell you about Google's ground source project. They're using Gemini to turn global news into structured flood data. 2.6 million events across 150 countries. They're powering urban flash flood forecasts with up to 24-hour lead times. That's extraordinary. That's AI saving lives. That's the promise we were sold. But there's another side to this coin. Palantir is running military demos, AI chatbots including Anthropic's Claude, analyzing intelligence and suggesting next steps for war planning. The Pentagon is already testing. Do you see the tension here? The same Gemini technology extracting flood data to warn civilians could analyze satellite imagery for military targeting. The same LLMs writing your emails could plan operations. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying the code doesn't know the difference. Do we? We talk a lot about AI alignment, making sure AI does what we want. But we don't talk enough about human alignment. Who decides when humanitarian AI becomes weapons AI? Where's the framework? Where's the debate? Because right now, the technology is moving faster than our ethics. And that gap keeps me up at night.
Culture and society, the human cost.
And this brings me to our final story, the one I almost didn't want to write. A lawyer representing cases involving AI chatbots and suicides is warning of mass casualty risks. We're seeing the first AI psychosis lawsuits. The technology is moving faster than safeguards. I want to be careful here. I'm not an expert on mental health. But I know enough to say, when we build systems designed to simulate human connection, we have to think about what happens when vulnerable people form attachments to those systems. We've also got Steven Spielberg taking a stance. Never used AI in any of my films. He acknowledges AI's uses, but he draws a line at creative replacement. Is that a principled stance, or is that a privileged position from someone who can afford to say no? And then there's the gaming industry. RAM shortages driving console prices up, job losses, gamers versus AI. One analyst put it starkly, gaming is shaping up to be one of the AI boom's biggest casualties. Here's the paradox. AI demands more computing power, but the industry that created the demand for that power, the gaming industry, is being hollowed out by it. We've spent years asking, can AI do this? Maybe we should be asking, what happens to us if it does? So, where does this leave us? We have a test that exposed the gap between AI hype and reality. We have an arms race for open models that's reshaping global power dynamics. We have enterprise tools that might finally kill administrative bloat. And we have the same technology saving lives in floods, planning operations in war rooms, and raising questions about mental health that we're not prepared to answer. If there's one theme this week, it's this. We are deploying systems we can't properly measure into domains we don't fully understand. That's not a reason to stop, but it is a reason to pause, to question, to demand better benchmarks, better safeguards, and better conversations. I'm Sebastian. This has been Byte of Truth. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and I'll see you next time.